thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of talk about the quote-unquote unwritten rules of baseball. Somebody who knows them better than anybody. Nick Derba is the main baseball coach, but he's also a former pro player and catcher in the St. Louis Cardinals organization. And you do agree there are many of these so-called unwritten rules of baseball. It is the real deal, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, they do differ, from college and pro, but there are unwritten rules, and there's a lot of them in professional baseball for sure.
So in the pro ball, how many times, if you had to think back about various incidents, how many times would you say something came up about one of these things? Yeah, I mean, it probably happens, 10 or 12 times a year. I mean, you play 40, 150 something, 160 games a year. I mean, you see it probably, once every other week something comes up where, there has to be justice given or taken into the hands of the players or the manager, and it happens quite often. I mean, it's not something that's it's not that rare. I mean, it happens, especially at the lower levels where you have a lot of players that are still inexperienced with how to conduct themselves or doing something that's maybe frowned upon that they don't really know about or have done in the past or whatever it may be. You were a catcher, so in some respects, you could be like right there at the center of the storm. Do you remember one of these things? Maybe, you don't have to mention names, but just an incident or whatever that you remember most that you were involved with? Or my number one experience was actually when I was playing in the country of Colombia during winter ball. Oh boy! And we had some major altercations there, and you see a lot of that stuff happen when you're playing a team multiple times. Usually it's a lot of times later in the season, but this is still pretty early. For the Red Sox, but yeah, I mean I certainly remember a few of these places. I mean specifically with me, I mean I was probably barreled 20-something times. Maybe 10 of them. Or 8 of them were dirty shots, and each time, our pitching staff came out and threw at the guy that was that hit me. And it has to be the right situation, of course, but it happens quite often. Do you think that Sale was trying to hit him or just trying to send a message? It's one and the same. It really is. The message was obviously received because everybody in the park knew it, and the umpire came out and kind of put everyone in their place immediately. So, you hit somebody, it's really a message being sent. I mean, whether you hit somebody or not, if the message is received, that's usually, the intent of the whole thing. And, and Mookie Betts getting hit. I mean, Mookie's one of the key players for the Sox. I mean, you don't hit the 9-hitter to send a message. Yeah. You hit a key, you don't hit, or you hit, if he's a 9-hitter, he's pretty important to the team. So you hit somebody that matters to send a message, because it's kind of like saying, hey, you want to go after our guy, we're going to go after one of your guys. And Pedroia may be one of those guys that, has like the unwritten rule of you don't hit him unless if you really want to start something too. That's the other side of the coin, because, Pedroia is, he's an annual all-star. He's one of the faces of Major League Baseball. So, that makes a difference in who you're hitting and when you're hitting them. You never really saw David Ortiz really get thrown out very often, right? I mean, it's kind of one of those types of things, like pick and choose who you're going to hit. Make sure he's a key player, but if you're going to go after the guy, you're probably going to have a bench clearing brawl at some point. Let me try a couple of 3 quick hitters here with you too, okay? So you're a catcher, St. Louis Cardinals. Somebody hits a home run, flips the bat, takes 35 seconds to get around the bases. What do you say to him? Well, I can't say it on the air, but there will be some expletives in there. I mean, and here's the thing too. If you have a guy that, I'm okay with emotional home runs. If you're a game tying, big time game, you hit a game tie or you flip the bat, but there has to be some respect to it in the sense that you can't take forever to get around the bases. You show up a pitcher. At a certain point, you gotta really realize, let's go play the baseball game, And I think that there is the component of who hit it. If you're the guy that's hitting 190 and you hit your first home run all year long and you go and do that, well, you're an idiot.
You hate to say it, but you're an idiot. But
Yeah.
if
you're Big Papi, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a little different because you've done it. You've done it. But you look at Big Papi, and for the most part, Big Papi, yes, he had a lot of flair to his game, but he was never terribly disrespectful to the pitcher. And he did it, and he was there before. He's done it before. So there's a certain component to it where you have to kind of see who it is and what the situation is. And you kind of judge from there. I mean, as far as how it goes, it really is a case by case basis sometimes. But
Sure.
for the most part, if you flip the bat, then get around the bases.
Okay, you're a catcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. They have a big lead on you, and somebody steals a base. What do you say?
I'm not going to be happy about it. It depends. If we're holding them on, though, if we're holding the guy on and you steal the base and you're up by a lot, well, you know what? We were holding you on. We were keeping you close. You really shouldn't be doing that. We're probably not going to hit somebody for that. I learned a lesson, in Double-A, where our quote unquote our manager told us you don't hit somebody for giving it up. Basically, if you're getting hit and the team is embarrassing you, get them out. Get them out. But if you back off and you're not holding the guy on anymore, and they start taking bags on you, that's a little different because now you're saying, hey, we're not holding you. Stay put. We're trying to get outs here. We're not trying to keep you from moving to the next piece. So that's when maybe things start changing a little bit more. But at the end of the day, if you don't like something, if you're losing, well, you know what? It's not the other team's fault for playing hard either.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get the guy out at some point.
You're catching for the St. Louis Cardinals, and the other team say that the other team's ahead, and you're not feeling too good as it is right now, and there's a ground ball out, and he's out at first base, and he comes back to the third base dugout and trots over the mound or somewhere near over the mound to get back to the dugout.
And you have some pitchers that are very, very protective of their island. I mean, I don't suggest anyone ever going over the mound. You really shouldn't. That's really something that the pitcher will probably take care of on his own. He'll start chirping at him. For me, it wasn't that big of a deal because it was just a piece of dirt. But at the end of the day, if the pitcher feels like that's his place, and you shouldn't be on there, I'm going to back him up every single day of the week, and and chirp at him a little bit and tell him to stay off the dirt. But it really is. There are a lot of unwritten rules, and you got to be kind of in tune to it because those types of things will mold a team into a winning team.